Welcome to Dungeons and Demogorgons, the officially unofficial podcast for Stranger Things on Netflix. I'm Jim.
And I'm Aaron.
Can I even say Stranger Things on Netflix anymore? Because it's over. It's all done. Who knows what streaming service they'll pawn this off to next to maximize revenue? I don't know. Hulu?
I'm gonna guess Disney. I think Disney's gonna
Yeah.
gonna bid for it all.
With all those middle
Yeah.
fingers, I don't know, man. They might have to pawn it off on Hulu. I think this is a Hulu destined joint, but
Ooh, they do have rated R stuff on Disney. I think they've broken that seal already.
Oh yeah, Bob
I can't
Iger came
remember, I
back
think-
and said, "You know what? The mistake of my first tenure was not
Right.
enough middle fingers."
Fuck them kids. You can't get rich animating mice.
Yep.
You need blood and titties and swear words.
Well, now we know our podcast will never be on Disney Plus, so there we
True.
go.
Not in danger. So I want to turn the tables on you because you took too damn long to do it, Jim.
Yeah.
We've got through a decade journey. We have been along for these kids their whole lives. My
near.
son was just shy of 10 years old when this came out and was obsessed. I was going through these photos of him at a sleepover party for season 2 where the mom had made like a model of Joyce's quilt on the wall, and there was like Demogorgons stuck on the windows when I went to drop him off, and they watched the whole thing as an all night, and he was so excited up until I think season 4, and then when I started getting around, I was like, hey, it's gonna be. He started thinking, boy, I'm working, and I got this girlfriend, and I still got classes, and I'm almost 20, Dad, and I like. I mean, he didn't say he didn't give a shit about it, but I wish I could live in a world where COVID and the strike didn't essentially add another 4 years to the production of this, because and ideally if this came out in 2021, 2022, 2023, I as I watched it I asked you a question and I talked for another 5 minutes. Jim,
No,
the fuck did you think of this?
It's fine because those are like my overriding feelings coming out of this. I think so I generally really love the ending of this. I think they've struck the note that Stranger Things has always struck, which is a deep nostalgic feeling. For a childhood that like didn't exactly match mine. I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons kid, but I am a board game kid and a computer nerd, and I'm like kind of mixed in with this group. I could definitely hang out with them or see myself
Spent
doing
these
that.
formative years in Indiana.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's tailor made for me, I think. But I'm like really conflicted about the timing of it all. Like I just have complicated feelings about it because nostalgia is a complicated thing, right? It's a yearning for a time that can never be again, even though you fondly remember the things that were. And this show probably should have been over at least 3 years ago. I would argue maybe 5 years ago. But the things they've done to kind of bring this around, knowing that the kids are so much older than they probably expected them to be by the time they got to the end of this, it really worked. I think they adapted to that really well because like season 3, if you look at that, you're like, oh my God, okay, these kids are so obviously aging out of
We
the
saw
show.
this coming, right?
Yeah, and they saw it apparently, and they've adapted to it really well. I think like this, the coming of age story, right? Like there's again, very conflicted because the coming of age story is always this triumphant, awesome kind of feeling that you get where you've transitioned from childhood to adulthood, and I get a huge dose of that from this show. But that is also a very sad thing in some ways because your life is moving on. And those things that you cherish so much about the time you had there, that nostalgic feeling, that's going to be lost. It's something like, look at the end of this, everybody's kind of going their separate ways to some degree. And, you can make all the pacts and promises you want, but it's never going to actually be like it was. So that's the thing. Like Stranger Things knows that, and it plays on that, and it gives you like the closest thing to actually reliving that childhood that you possibly could, all the way up to the end of high school here.
Yeah, in the immortal words of Pennsyltucky from Orange is the New Black, toast can't never be bread again. You know, it's a one-way street, and I'm with you. I am extremely pleased by how this show ended. I felt like there was I got a little annoyance in the Christmas drop because they were doing aggressively like every fucking episode was the season where it's like something happens and Dustin's like, oh, it's like Star Destroyer shield generators, and suddenly this stuff is happening. And the only thing that kind of mollified me is that he was wrong and it kind of almost led to disaster. But sure. I thought that the way that they melded the kind of Mind Flayer with the Will, with the Vecna, in ways where I kind of thought maybe they'd lost the plot in especially season 3. And Stranger Things won me back and entirely at the end of season 4. Like at season 4, I was kind of like, do I even like this show anymore? You know, because I've seen all these problems, and 2 was kind of and 3 was kind of like, okay, what happened to the Mind Flayer? I thought they brought it all back, and like, you know, they had a pretty big gap between season 3 and season 4. I just wonder if they could have shrunk that last thing where, you know, Eddie Munson died less than a year ago and it was all still kind of fresh. But yeah, I mean, I went to go read people talking about this, and I think the critics are rightfully regarding this because they're seeing the challenge that was laid before the Duffer Brothers, and you know how much they must have changed the fine points of the plots to kind of update the kids. And I don't know, maybe they always had like some kind of time jump planned to get the kids to the end of high school. But yeah, all the fan community is essentially kind of like, you know, either a benign form of My Son Jack, where it's kind of like, I wish I had this 3-4 years ago, or like open mockery. And like I saw a lot of shit that I thought was stupid, as far as like, the Will scene where he's coming out to everybody, it's dumb and it's anachronistic, and you know, I will say there's a little bit of cringe in these episodes, but I don't think it's stemmed from that. And yeah, like that's the thing. Like, I said I didn't give a shit about the teen romances and all that, and I'm glad they ended up the way, but I was surprised at how little of a shit I gave about like Joyce and Hopper, you know, getting their little happy ending with a Easter egg asterisk, a Montauk Easter egg asterisk.
Yeah,
and I was
it's
honestly
never been about them.
True, but I was honestly pleasantly surprised at how they got me at the end. You know, the final D&D campaign. Yeah, Mike given his alternate theory of the heart of what happened, and then tearfully putting away their player guides while kicking it off to the next generation. Yep. I thought that was great, and you know, there were surprises along the way. I guess what was your favorite? What was the standout Stranger Things moment in this group of episodes?
I have a question before I answer that. What do you mean by the standout Stranger Things moment? Is it something that like Stranger Things is known for? That really like very funny, or something very poignant about young people's lives? I mean, that's where I think of Stranger Things, as I think about the pop culture references. I think about the jokes, the humor, increasingly the crazy special effects, and then the kids and how relatable the kids and the adults. Like, I like it just as much as when the adults have a heart-to-heart conversation with the kids, or vice versa, as when the kids are all talking or whatever. For sure. And in that regard, I mean, it was always going to be, as long as they didn't fuck it up, it was always going to be the final moments of this show. And it, because of how it has to come down, it has to come down to the 4 kids who started this whole series off, right? Those are the core and the heart, and Elle became part of that, but you know, she's sidelined at the end of this. I tend to believe in Mike's story as well. I'm like the other kids. I want to believe.
Well, there's evidence, right? I don't even think this is conspiracy theory, and we'll break this down, I'm sure. But
for sure.
Yeah.
But it's that moment. I mean, that hits the hardest. It's putting away the binders. It's the cheers and the shouts and the sadness and the joy of it all. It's Dustin's speech is a second. His valedictorian speech is a close second, because he kind of puts his finger on what I'm feeling about all of this nostalgic sort of re-examination of the past. It's like, there was good. There was a whole lot of bad, right? They suffered so much, like, especially if you look at Will over the years. They've suffered so much, but there was also so much good in there. And once you get, 20 years on, unless the bad was overridingly bad, you're not going to remember that much of it. You're going to remember more about the good.
Yeah. Yeah, this isn't late. I mean, that's the thing. This isn't late stage Game of Thrones where the wheels just came off and there weren't any good answers and everybody's kind of discontented. It's more of like, I guess, late stage Game of Thrones if, like, it wasn't the biggest show of television, because like 100 million people were watching Game of Thrones when it fucking flopped. And I think many fewer people were watching Stranger Things when it kind of succeeded and soared.
Yeah, that's another reason I wish they had gotten it out faster. I think it lost a lot of people along the way. Like you were saying about your son, he'll probably eventually watch it, but
oh yeah, and maybe it'll even be like something in 10 years or so when he's got kids. That might be the thing. He's giddy to wait to watch with them the same way I was kind of giddy to wait to watch Goonies and some of the other stuff with him. It is pretty scary. I will say that. You don't want to. My advice to my 10-year-old future dad son: don't bust Stranger Things out on them when they're 5, man. It might put them off with the teenagers. But yeah, it's a great show. I think it had a great cast. I really enjoyed the science teacher finally joining the party. I thought that was a lot of fun.
It felt overdue, and I will also say slightly underdone. I could have used a little bit more with Mr. Clark in this final season.
Of all of the denouement, where it's like, well, this is just going to be an earthquake to happen, and nobody's going to I don't know how you keep it. Like, Nancy Wheeler's walking around like she went 10 rounds with the fucking Bengal tiger.
I kind of love that.
She's going to make scenes at the town pool in an entirely different way next year.
I kind of love it, though. That is a Stranger Things thing. They're playing on these 80s, 90s kind of movies tropes where you can just sort of get away with the government cover-up.
And the whole military
even when
doing
it's
it.
obvious. They've stapled the Earth back together, right? And people are just like, okay, I guess it's Hawkins now. Yeah.
I didn't know. But I was like, Hawkins is... I was kind of shocked at how small the graduating class was. What was like 40 people there? 50 maybe?
Not too many.
So like maybe it is super small town and you've got a population sufficient that and enough of the people that were like involved with it were dead that
sure,
I don't know, it's pretty crazy. I can't wait to hear. Well, that's the thing, it's like this would obviously lead to conspiracy theories, which is a whole other meta we need to talk about.
I want to talk a little bit about the bad, because I in some regards, I understand what people are saying about some of the like overwrought dialogue. Will's coming out scene, I thought, is excellently acted by Noah Schnapp. He's kind of incredible in that scene. And I will say I've never been super impressed by most of the actors in this show. Most of the child actors. I think they're good, not great.
Really? Because I think there's good, and then there's potential. Like, I think Millie Bobby Brown could potentially be great. I think Sadie Sink can potentially be great. I would like to see Finn Wolfhard in something actually real, because all I've seen was kind of joke shit and genre properties and things. But
I think the characters are slightly better than the actors in most cases.
Maybe that could be
the
that
thing.
could be.
And I'm not like disparaging them. I'm just saying, when they start to give these actors some dialogue that really has to be just nailed, or it comes off a little hokey, that's where you run into problems. And I think a couple of times they get there, to where it's just a little hokier than I would have liked, or runs on a little too long. That the speech where Will is coming out and he starts listing all the things that they all like. he lists like 35 things. He probably could have listed like 25 and gotten the same effect.
We all convert oxygen to carbon dioxide. We all return sugars into energy with the Krebs cycle.
Yep.
If you prick us, do we not? Yeah.
It was a little much there, but other than that,
and I think
it's
also a victim of. There's been theories that Will is a little gay boy. I want to say like maybe some really reachy things in season 1, but by season 2 they were in full swing in season 3. So it's like it almost felt like it's all like watching a clip show from a series you've already watched, but it's entirely new clips, you know. But I didn't, you know, and I think that it doesn't take much for me to believe that a kid in Indiana at that age, in that era, would be very reluctant to come out as being gay. And I also think the thing that saved it was, number one, he did great performances all around, and number two, metaphorically, the idea that he could not go in to this fight with Vecna with such an obvious attack vector. Like, you know, Vecna tears in and like reveals that he's gay in front of in some kind of humiliating fashion, with him fucking with everybody else's minds, and it could have turned into a real nightmare situation. So I kind of like the fact that he wasn't even ready. He had to. It wasn't something like, you know, he had the luxury of like, well, I think all my friends are going to be cool, and I think my mom and dad's going to be cool with it. He had to hurry up and do that because there was a ticking time bomb. How many gay kids have come out in America because literally if they didn't come out 24 hours later, the world would end? I bet. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's never happened before. So
0.
I didn't mind it. And I also like, there's a lot of people saying, because I was class 95 right here, 6 years older than these kids. I lived in the very border of southern and central Indiana, Pretty Hill, Jacktown, population under 10,000, 99.9% white to this day. I was a dork because I was Jehovah's Witness, and didn't do drugs and have sex and smoke and do all that kind of stuff. Didn't listen to popular bands. So I kind of like gravitated towards the weirdos of school. Like that's who I found acceptance, like the band kids, you know, the math club kids, the drama club. And there was like a prince and princess of the drama club that everybody thought was like, oh man, they might have some talent to make it. And in his senior year, and they dated. There's like this power couple, and senior year came out that he was gay. And again, this is in Mooresville, Indiana. Mm-hmm. I was honestly surprised at how everybody kind of took it in stride. I don't know if he'd have been like a jock or something, where it's like, you know, in a drama and it's getting, you know, there's I remember the biggest negativity was just people feeling bad for the princess, because, you know, that's an unfortunate situation to be in love with a good looking, put together gay man that wasn't aware of it. But yeah, it's like that happened in, what was that? So I was like, that's like 1992. Not that far away from this. It didn't faze me. Like, it's not like he went up to the whole school and said, hey, I'm one of the most unpopular kids in school. I'm gay. LOL. Have fun. He came out to his most intimate friends, the people that he's fought literal monsters with. So it's like,
plus Kali and Murray. Like, I couldn't help but notice all the people standing in the background, just being like, okay, dude.
Yeah. And like, I don't know.
But
like,
yeah, you're right. Like, you would expect those people to be more accepting than the general populace. So yeah, the fact that like nobody gives him shit about it. Like, which of these characters do you think at this point should give him shit? Murray?
I think the one that probably have the hardest time is Hopper, because he's an old dude that fought in the Vietnam War, and he probably has a lot of but like, again, that maybe I can't think of a time in this show's history where he would have, that the character as Hopper's presented would have done that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I said Murray could be, but Murray seems like he's a flexible thinker.
Totally. Here's the other slightly negative thing I'll say.
Well, guys, I got one.
Oh boy, okay. Even though I think the scene is very well written, I felt absolutely nothing during the Jonathan Nancy unproposal scene, because these are my two least favorite characters. I just
was
do
relieved.
not care.
I was crying on my hands and knees, kissing the carpet, like, oh God, it's over. The long nightmare of us pretending to be involved in Jonathan and Nancy is over.
Right.
And I was just worried that they were going to like flip back to Steve, because the other thing that and that's, man, I forgave that of a lot of its sins, because I'm like, actually, this is good to show kids who've gone through all this stuff and who thought they loved each other because they're high schoolers, and it's the first thing that they're talking about, like, oh man, we're just not, it's just not in the cards for us. We're just not meant to be. You don't almost never see that in like fiction that's plausibly aimed at young people, where they're like, you know, the kid's been dating all through high school, break up, and it's a good thing and no one's pissed about it. And you know, I really liked Jonathan saving Steve. I thought that was even though Jonathan's 31 years old now and really looks like he's going on 40. I like that. I liked it because, again, I guess that's the other thing. I was patient with the gay stuff too, because I liked the message. I did like the things that they were saying, and I thought they were told with skill, and the fact that you know, they were going to die, and being honest with each other is the one thing they had to do to survive. I thought that was is neat. It's a neat conceit. You know, like this upside down being so driven by one's emotion. It made sense to me anyway, in a sci-fi kind of way.
I guess that's the other thing about this season that I really liked, is the way they brought Will back around, from being incredibly weak and actually like kind of not the cause of all of this, but a major player in it unwittingly.
But in like in a MacGuffin way, like he is the golden suitcase everyone's chasing in Pulp Fiction. That's a cool role, but it's not very thankful, and I almost feel like this last season and a half have been. That's what I'm saying. I think it's been a lot of Will the Wise service, because he had a thankless role for the first 3.5 seasons of this business.
I do wonder if they knew this was what they were going to do with Will, or if they realized in season 3, oops, we've kind of done nothing with this poor kid. And
I wonder if there was a victim of their own success, where they had a nice, tight 3-season thing, and then it got so successful, and they're like, oh, we got this idea and this idea. But like, I don't know, Will the Wise being a sorcerer, and the Duffers being a big enough nerd to know the difference between like a wizard and a magician and a sorcerer, and the innate versus the study and the create. I bet that they had that as a pretty big bullet point. You know, not sure where they're going to get there, but. Felt like
I mean, they brought it around. I think like him having to, like you were saying, him coming out to his friends here is more than just, oh, this is something I need to do for myself. It's actually like literally something he has to do, not just because he's a liability, because it might be revealed and he might get embarrassed, but like in his own mind, he has to be okay with himself in order to not be that weak vessel that Henry found him as in the first place. That's the only way they're able to turn those tables.
Can I tell you the one thing that continues to buy, and I've talked about this since I think season 1. They have still not figured out how to manifest these powers in any cooler way than having the character locked in muscle paralysis with their clawed hand going forward and a trickle of blood coming out their nostril. That's it. That is it. That is it. That is all the action you'll have. Now, they did. The rest of the party gets to kick ass with flamethrowers and shotguns and machine guns. And I think the Mind Flayer fight was really impressive. Like something that you'd see in a Marvel movie or a Star Wars movie. But and they did find a few ways to let Will kick a little bit ass, because like your eyes going white is way more badass than blood shooting at your nose. Yeah, but a couple of points where like you got the inkling of his power, like when, you know, like my favorite one is where he invades Vecna as Vecna is threatening, was it Max? And Holly, as Max and Holly, and then you see his head. I'm like, oh my God, is Will gonna snap this dude's neck? But no, he turned him and actually made him talk like and I like, that's even way more powerful. Like, you know, if you snap his neck, well, but like making a person address another dude and give a soliloquy, I'm like, wow, that is some real power. And I guess they found ways to juice it up, like the necromancy they did with the demo dog and the 50,000 watts of power.
That was cool.
They found new ways to make the stuff exciting. But yeah, man, would it be the worst thing in the world if like Elle could shoot electricity? Or,
she needs a lightsaber.
You know,
that's how they did in Star Wars, right?
Yeah, it's when you got purely psychic warfare, it probably would be pretty fucking boring. But
they lean into some anime action tropes here in order to spice it up a little bit. More so, like, I think,
Elle
than
getting
previous
pushed
seasons.
backwards, and she slides like
and throwing her hands back to stop herself. Yeah, all that stuff
Right.
is straight anime, which is cool.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. But you're right.
Should we talk a little bit more focused about some of these things, or do you just want to continue to talk about?
No,
the
I mean,
general
generally,
fallout?
I think I've got all my high level thoughts out here, but there are some specifics I definitely want to talk about.
Okay. Well,
Are we talking about Dustin? Because he's my favorite character.
And I was worried. I was real worried about
Big time.
Dustin because Dustin was given huge, like, whiny. What is it? The Order of the Phoenix, where Harry Potter's the most whiny son of a bitch ever. But like, yeah, he's been through some shit, and he's crossed at some of his friends, and he's just being a giant asshole.
Mm-hmm.
What did you like about his arc?
Yeah, that's definitely not my favorite Dustin. Him being shitty, you know, and just like petty shitty too. Like, he's spouting early on in, I think it's episode 5. He's with Steve and Nancy and Jonathan, and he's like saying all this stuff about, you know, Vecna's plan and the shield barrier and all this stuff, these specifics, and just taking wild shots in the dark guesses. And then Steve asks him a follow-up, and he's like, how do you expect me to know that? I'm like, dude, you just gave 40 minutes of rambling bullshit, and you're not going to answer a single follow-up? So like petty stuff like that. And then that whole time where they're just angry. I love the fight between Dustin and Steve, where Steve is just trying not to hurt him.
Yeah.
And Dustin just won't stop because he's so
angry.
He's
so
and hurt.
About, and especially with Steve really taking it to Eddie. I was surprised they went there.
Yeah, a
but
little
it
uncalled
felt
for.
like they needed to do something that big to just kind of emotionally reset these two, because nobody wants to see Dustin and Steve fighting in the finale of Stranger Things. You gotta nip that in the bud. So having them go to blast everything down to the bedrock with a literal physical fight that Steve is.
Yep.
I think towards the end he was like, all right, you know, if you want it, you can get it a little bit.
I have man
but
strength,
it was kinda,
buddy. You're still a little gangly. Although I gotta say, Glenn, he's beefing up a little bit, like slimming down and beefing up. He's looking good in that valedictorian speech in his Hellfire shirt.
I think he might be able to take Steve. Steve is
might be.
He's a skinny guy, and his hair is a liability. You know, so much to grab onto there.
That's true. Here's the other thing about that fight that I really love, though, is it leads directly to the discovery of, you know, the chamber with the journal, and like they are really good at doing that, taking the emotional impact of a scene and just carrying it forward right into a discovery for the narrative. They do that all the time. It feels almost seamless. If I didn't know that in the writer's room they were saying, okay, how do we join these two things up? Well, okay, let's change this little bit of the fight to have them bash against the wall or whatever. I know they're artificially creating that, but it feels so natural.
I also thought it was cool because like there's a couple of I guess mysteries in terms of like, you know, was it season 2 was the tunnel season? Yeah, it was the Demodogs, and you know how the tunnels got built, and the fact that Vecna was using Will as kind of his primary architect for all this stuff. I thought maybe we can just talk about how satisfied we were that they explained the mysteries of Stranger Things. And I thought the Upside Down not being an entire world, but being the weird like Einstein Rosen whatever wormhole bridge that they talked about in the first season, the science teacher. I thought that was a really cool reveal, and it made a lot of sense. And oh god, what was Steve's plan? The Jack and the Beanstalk plan. Yeah. Bringing those two worlds together to where you could physically make contact and scramble. I played a shit ton of Mario Galaxy over the breaks, first time I've ever played it, and you know, nice. You played that, right? You can stand on one planet, and if there's a planet close enough, you can literally jump, and the gravity will go and grab. So it's like, I thought that was a really cool, and it's also like, what could possibly pay off about this giant wall, you know, around Hawkins? Like, what is the, and the fact that it's like, it's not a wall at all, it's a bridge, it's a tunnel. It's the pencil that's pushing through the two pieces of paper. Right. Great. And it's like, I guess this leads me to another slightly negative point. I had high hopes for Linda Hamilton and her, like, at least being an escalation from Dr. Brenner and some of the others. But honestly, she came off as like the neo-Nazis in late stage Breaking Bad, where it's like, we've already had Gus Fring. You're never going to get the, but she was just such a non, you know, like she carried it for a long time because she's Linda fucking Hamilton, and she's running around and grabbing dudes by the nuts and saying, you know, calling him incompetent and being ruthless and looking like she's made out of a fucking leather chew toy. But there really wasn't. He ended up being the adults in E.T. the entire movie. Like, they're only there to apply some chase pressure to the heroes, and keep some real world pressure. And I most of the stuff when we cut to the military, and them fucking around the upside down stuff, I thought that was, you know, a little toe tapping, a little impatient with that stuff.
Yeah, I think it was better in the first half of the season, at least.
I do too.
Linda Hamilton had something to do, and it looked like it was building somewhere. I agree.
She's had no one to play with, you know, like Brenner had 11 that she could like have some, that he could have some scenes with. And I felt like they tried to make some characters out of her number ones or number twos, but they kept dying and fucking up. And
yep, I'm with you. Underused. It's unfortunate, but
I almost wonder if like there was an original 3-episode arc and Brenner was always going to be the big, Brenner's always going to be on the outside big bad, but then, you know, the Mind Flayer is going to be, but it went so long they couldn't get Matthew. I don't know, because it's, like I said, I think Breaking Bad's a great, you know, you got Gus Fring, Walt goes to war with neo-Nazis. Like, that sounds like an escalation, but neo-Nazis are just a bunch of dumb fucks with guns. Gus Fring had a brain, you know. That's what I feel like about Linda Hamilton. She was just a government stooge. She didn't really understand anything about what she was doing or why it was important or why it was dangerous. Yeah. She's just following orders.
Yep. Just not a big enough factor in the season.
So I already talked about the science teacher. I thought that was another like really old school Stranger Things moment, them doing the little kite. And that was like, also you've got this guy who is so, you know, kind of like stick up his ass, and he's this, you know, he's being essentially emotionally blackmailed into this stupid thing, and you know, he finally buys into it, realizes it's real, but he's too conservative, and him throwing caution to the wind and just unhooking all the balloons so they can get to the out. I like that. It threw me back to like them triangulating radio signals with Dustin. You know, we haven't done any like Radio Shack science for a while, and it felt good.
Yeah, I mean, this is season 4, right? Focused around the radio station. Yeah, I like it a lot. I do also think he's a little underserved. Once they get past that balloon thing, it's kind of like he has one kind of funny scene with Erica, but that's really just it. Yeah.
Schnookums. So that was his pet name.
Yeah.
I forget the
Murray called him Schnookums.
The librarian.
Librarian wasn't in that library when it got destroyed, right? It was nighttime. I'm sure she wasn't.
She's been spending most nights at Schnookums' house. You know,
right.
He's got a key to his door. Got one of his drawers claimed. Keep her
We did
toothbrush
say there
there.
were no casualties in this whole thing, but we neglected one casualty. Steve's beamer. His poor beamer. Like, Dustin drilled a hole in the top of it last chunk of episodes, but this time it's off in space like a Tesla going to Alpha Centauri.
Yeah, it's traveling like 2001 monolith style.
Yep.
So like, that kind of is another bugaboo. I think if you go back and listen to our coverage, that's something that we always talked about. It's like, well, who's going to die? You know, the stakes are this high. Do we really believe that all these kids are going to survive? All these adults are going to survive? I felt like they really. I mean, they killed the only person. Okay, who died of significance other than Elle's sister that literally the entire internet hates?
No one.
And like I was a little bit impressed that like 11, because I was like, you know, like we talked about this in the time we talked about it after Thanksgiving. Like you got the Mike preaching his 3 waterfall small town retirement, or are they going to remake their own world the upside? Like there was almost never a storyline open for Elle just to live a normal life after this, because she is this fantastic psychic super weapon. How would she ever? I was impressed that it seemed like they killed her, because like, you know, it was all about Hopper is going to die to save Elle, and then Elle's going to die to save Hopper and everybody, and then they both talked to each other into believing, and then, you know, Elle just she didn't want to die. It's just the way it happened that way. And then, you know, Will kind of retcon, and like I said, he did a good enough job at explaining it that I think that's the only way it could happen. I don't understand how Elle could do the things she did with the psychic jammers and stuff going on. I don't know.
That's the thing. Yeah, the thing that makes me believe is those jammers. Because those are
it's good
pointed
callback
right at
too.
her.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it fits nicely with, you know, their campaign that they're playing at the time. And I mean, master storyteller, yeah, Mike, in 4 seconds spins up this heroic story for Elle, and also, you know, beautiful endings for all of the other characters. He's great at it. Good DM. But I do think that is the biggest piece of evidence, and probably the only evidence you need to think that this has to be some kind of illusion. We know Elle doesn't have that power. Therefore, Kali has to be the one doing it. Elle's not bleeding from the nose in those images we see of her, so she's not using her powers.
True. Right.
Probably means that Elle is an illusion there.
I have no idea where they're trying to suggest she is. Like, she's on Earth,
Iceland.
Right?
Yeah, it looks like Iceland.
Okay. Because it's like, it literally looked like New Asgard from the Marvel movies. Like, you know, where they've all fled to someplace in Norway.
Iceland.
And like, this place in Iceland got like, there's a town that's on a plane that has 3 waterfalls. Like, did some upside down thing happen and Mike conjured this paradise town for ex-heroes to retire to?
I mean, that could be fantasy. She could be living in, you know, a small town anywhere. But
oh yeah, it felt like we were looking at Elle. It didn't feel like it was, you know, I think they could have done that if they wanted to suggest that Mike's making up a fantasy and he doesn't really know. Yeah. But yeah, because like that's like, what good does that do her? Do you think the United States can't find you in Reykjavik or whatever the hell the capital of Iceland is? You think?
In 89, I mean, the surveillance state is not quite what it is now.
Not quite, but if you're a human, and I guess they think she's dead. That's the thing. There's no reason for anybody to be looking for her.
That's the thing, yeah.
But if Mike can figure it out, surely somebody in the really fancy government department of spooky oogie boogie X-Files stuff could maybe figure it out too.
Yeah, I mean, it's there.
I don't know.
The evidence is open.
And maybe that's fine for what this is ultimately, a YA show. You don't want to be that brutal, but I felt like one of the principals shouldn't have made it out of here. Maybe Mike.
Yeah.
Like the DM goes down with the campaign. Because like he doesn't have a very, like, his is the least satisfying I guess of the main characters, the original party, his is probably the most unsatisfying denouement. And Ma, he's like, well, I got hope that my high school girlfriend didn't perish in a nightmare vortex of otherworldly energy.
Yeah, he also gets to be a writer and tell people about the stories that he and his party and his friends experience. I think it's nice for him to. I will say I've been hot and cold on Mike throughout this series. I think sometimes when he got a little too L-focused, he sucked.
Sure. Yeah.
But when he's doing his Mike thing, helping the party, I think he's great. So I wouldn't want to see him die. I can't honestly think of anybody that I would like to see die.
That's the thing.
Jonathan is the closest, but man, to kill him after all of Will's trials, I think the Byers are untouchable.
I think Jonathan could have died. I think Nancy could have died. I think Steve could have died. I think Hopper could have died. I'm not saying I would want them all to die. I'm just saying people that would have been a huge impact and added a little bit more emotional spice to the stew of the last 30 or 40 minutes. And that's the thing, because like maybe it's just me, but I completely lost how adorable I thought the Hop and Joyce were. And it's like, oh, they're at the fancy Indiana restaurant that they always wanted to do, and now they're going. Did you catch the Montauk joke?
There's a joke in that? No.
So there's this big conspiracy theory in, kind of like the Mothman or the, the Bigfoot, or there's this thing called the Montauk Project. And there's like a whole bunch of lore, and there's been a few movies based on it, but essentially the government doing extra-dimensional and psychic research based on Montauk, New York. And nice. I think that the idea here is Hopper's going from the frying pan to the fryer.
God, that sucks, man. For Joyce and
It does suck. It does suck. It's a fate worse than death, It's
a good joke.
But I guess the arc and that thing, all the people that lived, I think, had arcs. I like that Hopper finally got over the death of his daughter.
And was able to help direct Mike too. That was really sweet. I like their conversation on the bench before graduation.
But I was thinking the one that I had a hard time getting into is like Jonathan and Nancy and Steve and Ethan Hawke's daughter. What was her name? Robin. Yeah, Rockin' Robin. I had a hard time with that scene just getting into, because like there's a couple things that pulled on my heartstrings. Because like I put in my notes like, make plans to hang with your homies, man, because that's kind of how Bald Move started. I'd, lost a lot of my old friend circle, and I'd gained a few back, and now half of them wanted to like move away, and I'm like, no, fuck this. We're gonna stay in contact somehow. And this is the nicest thing of them all making plans. Like, hey, like once a month we're gonna find a time to get together. And I don't know if they'll do it, but like if you don't, because that's the worst thing you can do when you're leaving high school or college or a job where you're just like, oh, we'll see each other again. Oh, we'll keep in touch. Like, no, if you don't make plans to do it, it probably won't happen. But I kept on thinking how much more powerful that rooftop scene on Squawk would have been if one of those people hadn't made it home. And like their law, and if I was going to pick one, I'd pick Jonathan. But Steve could have worked. Nance could have been like them all reflecting on. But it's just a little, the fact that everyone survived all of this.
Yeah,
a little nuts. And I thought maybe they're set up Nancy to die too. When she volunteered to and I I don't see how the hell she's going to survive this little situation they got where she's being crushed by the mind flare at the end of this canyon. And then Elle did her shit.
Yeah, with her Rambo moves, her Rambo looks. So I think that scene is super sweet, where they're on the rooftop and they're making plans to meet up. I think it is so incredibly, unfortunately naive of these kids to set that aggressive of a meetup schedule. Like, there's no chance they meet up once a month. I was gonna say
Indiana to Massachusetts to NY. You're talking a 12-hour drive. Right? Like an expensive flight back in the late 80s. Like flight, and also there's another thing people don't talk about: long fucking distance, man. Long fucking distance, 30 cents a minute, nights and weeknights. Like
phone
it's
calls, right?
Yeah, man. People don't remember that.
I forgot about phone calls.
Yeah. You had to pay to call someone outside your area code, and the further away they are, the more you had to pay. Yeah, it is pretty aggressive. I don't know why they had to have everybody move to everywhere, but
I just set it up for once every 6 months or something like that. I could have believed.
Yeah.
Once a month is an insane schedule.
Everybody get together on November 6th. Is that I can't remember if it was the 4th or the 6th, but whatever. When it all kicked off.
Yeah, I don't quite
it's
remember.
Like, get together at Derry, make sure that the clown's still dead. I do think that these people have more of a chance to stick together than just about anyone, because my God, how could you ever relate to anyone as close as you could to these people? Even if you've settled down and you're completely honest with your mate and you told them everything about it and they believed you, these people went through it, man. Like, it's one thing for your partner to say, oh yeah, I believe you about the Demogorgon, but do they really? Yeah,
there's something about that relationship that is special that they won't be able to find again. And it's not to say they won't ever be close to anyone in a different way, but it won't be like that unless they all visit Hopper and Montauk and meet up with some new friends to have a new adventure.
That's where this is going.
But yeah, I can see that. That's why the scene is beautiful and sad at the same time. It's all bittersweet, right? They've survived this thing. They're closer than they ever were to begin with. They've made new friends, like Dustin says, but this is a time in their life that's never going to be repeated.
What do you think about the ultimate dispensation of Henry / Vecna?
Chopping his head off? Or what do you mean exactly?
Well, because, okay, so no one died. You and I called that there were some hints in the last episodes, the Thanksgiving release episodes, that there was hints that Vecna maybe not was intrinsically evil, that he's being manipulated by the Mind Flayer. The flashback kind of revealed that was true. This was a good kid that got put in an extreme situation and then picked up a demon artifact or whatever and got infected by it. What did you think of his protestation that I support him? Because, to me, that's someone who's been groomed since they were 8 years old by an immortal, psychically powerful, extra dimensional vampire for 50, 60, 70 years. And also, there's so much Hopper being Elle, this cannot end with more violence. You've got to fight. And at the end, she's just snapping so many soldiers' necks, and Joyce is sitting there just whacking the still living head off of Vecna, while people are people are kind of oh, Joyce, oh, I don't know if you should do that. I thought maybe they were fucking up by killing him, but no, I don't understand why they went that route.
So I have two things to say about that. First of all, I like that Joyce gets to deliver the killing blow. It's a nice cathartic moment for her after all the shit she's been axing
demons since the first fucking season. It's nice to see her get the fight. Yeah.
That's great. Here's what I'll say about Henry and his whole situation. I guess I wish I knew more about the kid who made that choice, because to my mind, what it looks like is what you said. It's a kid who was decent, found something that corrupted him, and has since come to sort of recontextualize his own actions as his choice because he's being manipulated and into it by this monstrous force.
Yeah.
I think that's how I'm supposed to read it, but I'm honestly not sure, because I don't know who that kid is to start with. If the kid is bad, if it's the worst Boy Scout you've ever met, and he's torturing squirrels and shit after he builds a trap to catch them out of twine, maybe, but I just don't know.
It didn't seem like that was a story they were telling with him, because he was a Boy Scout. He had found this guy in trouble. This guy was seemed crazy and was threatening to hurt him, but he was just really locked in on trying to help the guy. until he beat the guy's brains out. But like, he was acting in self-defense. I don't know. I like that this young man who really was railroaded. If you go back to the prequel play and his experimentation with Brenner and the fact that he first got, possessed by the Mind Flayer, he hasn't had a choice. He hasn't had an authentic choice maybe in his whole life, because I don't know how many authentic choices you get to make when you're 8 years old. And for someone to just like, instead of framing myself as the victim, no, I'm not the vessel, you're the vessel, or we're the vessel, or we're pulling equally on this, like as a way to just I don't know, soothe your ego, to cope with how hopeless your life has become. But then it's hard to take that kid and cheer as he's getting his head axed off,
Sure.
And the way they played it was like, Joyce, did you get this? Like, this was like Joyce was, I was expecting Elle to step forward or like grab the thing and be like, no, not like this. Papa said no violence or whatever. But everyone had these weird mixed reactions to her chopping its head off, I thought. And that was another kind of the mixed message from the finale of, okay, well, maybe he had to die because he was just so broken and, this is the kind thing to do, but I didn't feel like they hit that beat emotionally. And it's almost to the point where, like, why do you even set up a believable victim story of this guy if you're just going to essentially say...
Right. Just make him a straight villain. Sure. I'm with you. One of the other cool things I really liked about the leading up to the finale and all this is... these melty rooftop effects with the dark matter or whatever's going on up there melting the roof. I thought that stuff was really cool looking. Not since Ghostbusters have I seen marshmallow goo that is this cool. And I so rarely see things melting like this, like matter just being dematerialized into goo in shows.
Yeah. They had this, I think they actually retired it last year, but Kings Island for like the last decade has had a haunted house running called Madam Something or Other's Wax Museum. And they, essentially it's like, you're going to the evil wax museum where she's coating people with wax. And there's a lot of like the appearance of running wax with like water and strobe lights and stuff. And it reminded me a lot of that like it's like wax and this thing is kind of melting and then re-solidifying and, but there again, it's a little, I didn't think too much about that scene because if I did, it'd probably make me angry. Sure. I don't really understand how them not being honest with each other's romantic lives were causing the physics-based wormhole portal that was used by technology to fluctuate. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I just took it as...
Dr. Brenner set the emotional resonance to love, and it just...
Right.
His mistake.
Yeah, I didn't really try and read too much into it. I just felt like it was, they were kind of worried about nothing to begin with because this was always going to just solidify. It's just, it gave them time and proximity to really tell each other things.
I thought it was like, something the same way that it was using this, their inability to be honest with each other to kill them the same way that it was going to use Will's inability to be honest with himself and others. But
yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, it'd be funny if they was just going to always end, and if they just shut up, they could have kept their desperate little shitty relationship going where they're just barely tolerating each other's. Oh my God. That's when they start talking about their relationship and how he hates her music and she hates his music and he hates like
her articles.
Oh yeah, that's a good time to pull the old relational ripcord when you're getting into contempt towards your partner. I like having sex with you, but could you keep your mouth shut? Your opinions to yourself. I don't want to hear any music. Like, that's no way to live. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've caught most of the, they get the Mind Flayer and Vecna in a temporal pincher move where Elle's taking them up top and the other guys are on the bottom using. I will say this was okay. Boy, top 3 action scenes in Stranger Things in no particular order: the Battle of Starcourt Mall, Eddie unleashing Master of Puppets on the underworld in season 4, and the Vecna Mind Flayer showdown.
Yeah. All the big season.
And I think this might have been the best one. Like, just the scale of it, the fact that we're not using fireworks, and you got flamethrowers and machine guns and
except for Mike, who's just got
except for Mike, who gets the flare gun,
who teams up with a slingshot.
Yeah, I forget that's something he's been doing since season. Is he flinging like some kind of holy water at him, or what is? There's a gasoline. That's probably gasoline.
Earlier, I don't remember this. It had to be gas. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it'd be funny if it might have been funnier if Mike thinks he's got the gun and goes to like use it, and it's just a flare gun, but then it also ignites some of Lucas's gas, so it looks like it's it's kind of like, oh man, kind of awesome, little 1-2 punch, razzle dazzle. But yeah, it's
discover their power.
I think that's one of the hardest things they have to do is keep topping the stakes, especially when they decided at some point early on that, nope, we're never going to have Elle do more than just stand there with blood trickling out her nose and a claw for a hand.
Yeah.
It delivered. It delivered. You're beating Vecna and the Mind Flayer on their own turfs.
And I will say, in the first half of this season, I think I did say on the podcast, I'm a little disappointed that it was Vecna again. I turned around on that by the end of this. I think Vecna was the right choice, and to pair him up with the other menace that we've already seen, the Mind Flayer, in order to create a sort of Voltron of evil, I think it worked really well.
And it makes sense that the Mind Flayer was using Henry as his builder on Earth, and he was getting all the preparations, but then the bridge got weak or whatever, or maybe it's like it was aware of him, but it wasn't able to actually use him until Dr. Brenner started fucking around with his experiments again. That's what kind of enabled it. But then it gets cut off for a long time, and I was surprised at how much it made sense looking back.
Yeah, and how well it ties in with all the stuff that Will's experienced, and him being weak in a vessel, and connecting them. I thought connecting them mentally was a very good thing to do. It gave Will something to do this season, aside from just, I don't know, gawk at all the cool things everybody else is doing.
Let him be a real badass. I thought most of the times he was using his powers was fucking awesome. He looked cool. The all white eyes, good look. Very powerful look.
One more thing to maybe gripe about. The Abyss, the look of it. It's this desolate, nothing wasteland that has just, a Mind Flayer and Henry on it, apparently. But it's also somehow the source of all the Demogorgons and bad shit that's been coming through. Why do we not see? You would think the source of something would have way more of it than leaked into the real world. So why do we not see Demogorgons just kind of everywhere?
Because they're not native to the desert biome of this planet. I mean, I don't have a lot of great answers. I was like, because I already had a perfect comeback. It's because I don't think and maybe this is a failure of set design or a retcon that the set design is the betrayal of, but I guess I like the idea that these aren't extra dimensional beings. These are some kind of corporeal beings from some other part of the universe, and they got taken through. So I like that the Upside Down looks like an unnatural, weirdly otherworldly kind of hellish limbo dimension, and that the other planet looks like a fucking planet. This could be a native form of life. Like, this isn't too much bigger than like a Diplodocus or Apatosaurus, Brontosaurus. What is Brontosaurus still a thing? I feel like Brontosaurus got canceled when I was 15 years old, and then somehow he got uncanceled when I was 35, and I just haven't kept up with it. But
Vegisaur.
These are all native species of his, or maybe the Mind Flayer is like a singular thing on that planet, and he's able to once he's in the Upside Down, use the tools in that space to create monsters of his own volition. Because clearly Henry didn't look like that, right? Like, you know, Henry, that's something that he took on himself. Maybe.
Oh. I felt like with the final boss battle in any video game, you're almost always going to have some kind of ads, which are additional monsters that you have to fight while you're fighting the big guy. I feel like some demo dogs or whatever could have been real good fodder for that.
Although this was almost like a God of War battle where they're like literally going inside the boss and kicking ass in its heart and on top of it and on a mental plane. Okay, so should we move on to the denouement?
Sure.
Dustin gives his John Belushi Animal House speech as valedictorian, and I thought it was interesting because I thought he was going to do this like, I've had it up to here, I can't take it no more, here's the truth about what happens to Hawkins, but he pulled that punch, but then turned it into this kind of anti-authority. And I also like the idea of like, yeah, because this tracked out for my recollection of high school in the 80s and 90s is, it might be like this today. It was all siloed up with the weirdos and the freaks and the nerds and the jocks and the preppies and all that. And the one good thing that Dustin had said is like, this had broken down our walls. Like I would have never been friends with Steve Harrington, the hair. And now he's like my best friend. And, you know, there's all other kind of cross-cultural pollination, you know, the Erica's or Lucas's sister, and Max is not your typical D&D player, and I like that. That was a little bit of it broke down some walls. Not me, because that's the other thing is like Dustin's talking about a very small group of people. I don't know whether just rippled through and everybody is you know, having strange bedfellows, but I liked I've seen his valedictorian speech thing done like 20 different times, and I was like kind of groaning when it's starting up because the other thing is, holy hell, Hawking's school colors suck ass. Their school color is the exact precise color of like a pumpkin colored tux from the Nightmare 70s. This is bad.
Sure.
You got to be able to find a better color of orange, right? Like, I get this is the 80s, man. You're still recovering from the 70s, but Jesus. Yeah, I thought they pulled it off. And having the principal rage out, that's another like classic 80s trope, you know. Ferris Bueller and just having this authority figure just pissing blood on the side, not being able to do anything about it.
Yeah, what's he gonna do? Suspend me?
And he's making D&D references. I thought that was cute. You know, it's like suck it, jocks. You're gonna have to go with it. It's the official speech. And pulling off and revealing the Hellfire Club shirt, which is what got him beat up in the beginning of this season. It was good stuff. Good stuff.
Love it. It's keeping the spirit of Eddie alive in a healthy way, as opposed to the negativity he had before.
And it's kind of full circle. Like second season, they're at the prom, and Steve has given Dustin some hair tips and some confidence, and he goes and he approaches what's her name, Stacy, and she's like, "Oh, gross." But then Nancy dances with her and him, and it's like, oh, you know, the nerd girl, this girl coming up and inviting all the dorks to the party because, hey, you're, you know, Jim Belushi or John Belushi's speech was pretty funny. That's kind of, and also so fucking Mike, man. Mike is the worst friend to have in high school. You're on the cusp of going to the popular kids party. You might get laid, and Mike comes in there like, no, I got a better idea. Let's finish our D&D campaign. And like these guys nerds at the are like, yeah. And I guess Lucas, he gets to play with his girlfriend. Everybody else is going to be seeing Rosie Palm afterwards.
I am also like totally torn on that because I love it. I'm like, yeah, sure, you want to go to the popular kids party, but they're only inviting you because they think you're someone you're not. And like,
but they don't even
you don't
know
want to
who
be
you
that
are.
person.
You're even more badass than that they know.
Absolutely. And like, I don't know. What's the point of going to this party aside from you might get laid, you might drink a little, have some fun that night,
Yeah.
but you're not going to be like the new cool kid at school because school is over. You're all going your separate ways. You're not going to see any of these fuckers again anyway. Who cares? Make a memory with friends that's going to last.
It's
no
baby's
kid
first
thinks
frat
that
party.
way, but like
you can't go into college not having a rager under your belt. You're gonna be so far behind everybody.
That's true. Yeah. Make some big
No, I
mistakes when you do that.
I think you're right, and it's also sweet, right? It would go, I think, more with his valedictorian speech about, hey, we've met new people and have made us our different selves, but it felt right to end this where it began, and I think it was a missed opportunity. Well, I guess they have to do the L thing, but when they were conjuring this mage, I thought sure the Holly was going to pop in. Like, this is going to be that kind of handing, like, oh, dude, we have one more player character. She just...
yeah.
But then I'm like, oh, it's an L stand-in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to let them... Yeah.
Because she always comes to the rescue, right? She has been for seasons now.
Yeah. And then I liked Max not being happy with Mike's half-ass end of adventure campaign. Like, you know, that's when you're playing a video game in the 80s and 90s. For a long time, we didn't even know that you're supposed to get a good cutscene that said, way to go. Here's a girl in a bikini and champagne bottles and fireworks and shit. It's just like game over, high score. But then they started giving us like, and then it became like, God damn, I put 40 hours in this game. Surely they're going to give me something. And it would just be like a single screen that says, you've won the world. Don't do drugs. Keep trying. New game plus. It's like, God damn it. Don't even get a MIDI sound scores. You know, the score. Don't get some shitty VGA graphics. Really? I felt Max raging about, like, I've sunk 5 years of my life with you fucking nerds. I could have been the female Tony Hawk.
Mm-hmm.
And you got me for this weak bullshit at the end, Mike. But
yeah, and then he spins up just great little ending for all of them. I was really just emotionally touched by this final scene. I also want to say, like, how perfect and amazing of a choice it is for their timer that detonates the bomb. Like, having a pewter D&D figure
so good,
wired up, spinning on a record. Like, it's one of those things that, like, only Stranger Things can get away with, because it feels so obviously artificially crafted to pull at those strings, but it's what Stranger Things does. It's why I love it, and it nailed it.
And there's something about that, because that's just shit you don't get today. Like, nobody makes pewter figures. Like, like overnight, sometime in the late 80s, early 90s, it all switched from pewter to, you know, whatever the hell they're using now, high impact. But, like, that's so visceral, because I think I've told this story before, and I know we watched Cloak and Dagger, this old 80s young adult kind of fantasy thing, and the whole framing of that is it's very Stranger Things. You got this group that's got this role-playing game, and they've made, like, little courtyards out of shoebox boxes, and it looks, and I remember watching that as, like, a 7 or 8 year old, like, wow, where do you get this game? And then finding out, like, there is no game. You buy this, like, book that says how you kind of play, and you come up with your own characters, and you paint them to whatever look like. And I just remember thinking, how fucking cool is that? And then RPGs just kept on tugging at me throughout my junior high and high school. So seeing that pewter figure and putting it together, what's happening, that it's like this little timer. And that's another great Stranger Things moment.
It's resourceful.
Using, Dove's Cry as your Nightmare Annihilation countdown. Weird music choice.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. Like, it was a big deal to get Prince tracks on this, because Prince's estate does not. I think, like, this might be the first actual permission anybody's gotten to use a Prince track since his death.
I was gonna say, I was like, wait a second, there is Purple Rain. He did a whole ass move, but I guess
he made a move.
Yeah,
that was his attempt to sort of boost himself into bigger popularity. But the Purple Rain is, like, the choice that really makes sense to me. When Doves Cry is just a great, amazing song, but Purple Rain is
Huh.
is playing over the montage of Mike describing Elle and her sacrifice, right? And how it wasn't really a sacrifice, but it kind of is still. That one is good because Purple Rain, I guess, is a song about the end of the world. Like, the description of Purple Rain is talking about like where the red of a sort of like apocalypse meets the blue of the sky, and the result is the purple rain. And that's what we're kind of experiencing, the destruction of a world here. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'm kind of surprised they were able to get it. I guess in order to get this, they showed them what happened with Kate Bush's song last season, and we're like, hey, we can do that for Prince's tracks too. And I guess it has happened in like the last week or so. There has been like a couple 100% uptick in plays of Purple Rain overall, and then like the Gen Z demographic, there's been like a 600% increase in the plays of Purple Rain, which is not hard to imagine. But
I was looking
cool.
I was looking at the Billboard Top 100 list for 1988, and like, look at the shit you got. You got "Faith" by George Michaels. How awesome would that have been?
Great.
Got My Mind Set on You by George Harrison. Never Going to Give You Up
Don't
by
they use that?
Rick Astley. That would be pretty fucking funny. Rick rolling
what
everybody.
What if they could take that back? What if Stranger Things was able to take that song back from the Rick roll by putting it here?
What else they got? Shake Your Love by Debbie. They already did a Debbie Gibson though this year, didn't they?
I think.
But yeah, I
maybe,
feel like
I can't
Faith would have been a good one. Would have been a good. It's a toe tapper. It's got a theme about taking gambles, both emotionally and in real life.
Yeah, Purple Rain it feels epic. I think they nailed it. I will say, I don't know that. Who do you think chose that record? Do you think that was Mike's choice? Because I don't think Mike is cool enough to listen to Prince.
I feel like Robin probably did it, but I was expecting some metal. I was expecting Dustin to do another Metallica track, or maybe Megadeth, Symphony of Destruction. Wouldn't that have been? Or that might have not come out till like 92, 93 though. But it's something like that to kind of like throw back to season 4. And, you know, this was all about like, you know, justice for Eddie. Don't forget about Eddie. Eddie isn't a creeper. That's, I guess, what shocked me when Prince came out. But like, I imagine Rockin' Robin is the one to provide it. She's got the stacks of wax, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, no, I think it's her choice. I will say, I also think Prince is a decent choice because it feels transitional to me from the 80s to the 90s. You probably could have done a Guns N' Roses track as well to nail that. That's a good feeling. One. Like November Rain or something would have been.
Sweet Child of Mine was
anachronistic.
Was number 5 on the list.
There you go. Not quite the right vibe though. But I will say, like, it's a quite obvious bridge from 80s to 90s. If you look at the 18 months later, everybody's just wearing what you think of as 90s clothes, or really close to it. This transitional period.
No, as a liver through of the 90s, I can,
We didn't get anybody wearing grunge stuff, but you kind of wouldn't in '89 in the Midwest. So
no, and that's the thing. It's
maybe
like a lot of. I felt like that's everything. You know, like a lot of what people think of as the 60s didn't really start happening until the early 70s. A lot of things that people consider the 70s and the leisure suits didn't really start happening until the late 70s, early 80s. Our memories are always a little off the cosmic clock, I think. There's a lot of songs they could have used, and that's fine. I mean, obviously Prince. You can't go wrong picking a Prince track, but I wish they let Dustin let Dustin DJ it.
How about Steve? His final fate, him being a little league coach looking for a full Happy Meal's worth of nuggets with somebody, Crystal maybe, and also a sex ed teacher.
The sex ed teacher felt a little gratuitous.
No, okay. In defense, I will say The gym teacher at my school was also the sex ed teacher at my
Same.
school. So
Same.
Assuming he's not just a little league coach, but he's a gym teacher at the school, which I think is potentially a fair assumption, that makes total sense.
I thought that's the only thing the physical education teachers are It's like you can't put them in math. You can't put them in physics. It's like, all right, health class, sex ed, and make people sweat and shower together. Yeah. That's what we need from you, gym teachers of the world. I thought the sex ed was because like he's like, that joke would have landed better a couple of years ago. I feel like I feel like Steve is he. I don't think of him as a playboy anymore, and it was kind of weird to hear him talking about blowing through women like he was. You know, that he's just like, okay, now the demo, I can go back to being a substance free kind of personality guy. But yeah, I liked it. I liked him being a teacher. I like him being a coach. I like him setting. You know, it feels like that's what he wanted to do: set down roots in his small town, have some babies. Why not? Not sure about the sex ed.
I'll say, as far as arcs go, I found Steve's to be maybe the most satisfying. Going from jock to being cool with the nerds and not being a bully anymore, and then becoming essentially Dustin's dad, right? Like, or older brother at the minimum.
Sure.
That all felt really good. Yeah.
I agree. Steve had, man, did he? I like Dustin's arc too, but I guess those will go hand in hand.
They do. They really do. And then I guess dipshit Derek's going to be a part of that arc as well.
Dipshit Derek.
He's buddying up to Steve too.
You know, dipshit Derek, he might turn out all right under the tutelage of Steve Harrington. There's been worse advisors for sure.
He can at least fix his hair for him.
Do you think that almost every big YA property I've seen in my time on Earth, I'm thinking about Star Wars, I'm thinking about Harry Potter, I'm thinking about, I don't know, I guess maybe Stranger Things. Like once a generation, something comes along that kind of gets people's attention and you like becomes a big part of their life. Do you think that Stranger Things has a chance to do that, or do you think that this is going to be a lot more blow in and out of the pop culture consciousness?
I think it has a chance, but maybe a bit more of an uphill battle than some of that stuff because it is itself a nostalgia play. And most of those things you're talking about are not nostalgia plays. They or if they are, like Lucas with his hot rod shit and like all the stuff makes Star Wars is very heavily veiled. It's couched in fantasy terms. This isn't. This is very much an era specific piece that I know a lot of Gen Z and even younger people are excited about and latching onto, and it does have fantasy elements to it. So that's why I say I think it has a possibility to do that, but an uphill battle.
And I feel like the crucial things about the things that capture like these young imaginations and, you know, like, I guess that's the thing. It'd be, in my lifetime, I can think of Star Wars, Harry Potter, and like the Marvel comic book series. You know, we talk about that with our editor Talitha, that she was right in that age where like that was like all the kids were doing growing up. And the crucial thing about that is it seems like it really dominates the consciousness of a particular time of childhood. Like for Star Wars, it's a time I could be, I was born in 76. Star Wars came out in 77. My dad, I remember the first time he took me to Empire Strikes Back. I remember the first time I saw Return of the Jedi in the theater. And that thing kind of grew up with me from the time I was like in underoos and diapers to the time I was getting curious about girls. They hit me with, metal bikini Leia. And like that like, and then it kind of fucked off for most of my teenage into my early adult life, and it came roaring back and kind of disappointed me. But like that hell that and that thing is like Star Wars came out in 77, Return of the Jedi was out in 83, I think. So like 6 years. Harry Potter came out and like as a film series and as a book series within a decade and kind of grew up with the people. Marvel came out, you know, you went from Iron Man to Endgame in less than 10 years. I do think that they really fucked up. Well, I mean, they didn't fuck up the scheduling of everything fucked it up because I feel like this thing had a much higher chance of being really centered in people's thoughts if people like my son could have grown up with it. If you had a cohort of a generation that could all, and I just feel like they just lost a little bit, you know?
Yeah, the show takes place over, 6 years of time in universe.
Yeah. And it took 10 years to come out in real life. And that delta, especially the last 2 seasons, first 3 seasons came out, bam, 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 bam. And then the last 2 seasons, there's a 3-year gap and then a nearly 4-year gap. And it's too bad, but it does feel like it lost a lot of cultural momentum. Here's another damning thing. I felt like, and maybe this was also their choice of putting it out during the major holidays, but every release of Stranger Things, I've seen a huge cultural impact in terms of memes, in terms of, people changing their profile pics and like discussion of it in high profile places. And I'm not as in social media as much as I used to be, but still it didn't feel like it made nearly the impact it did even when season 4 came out. And I don't know. I will say personally, not a big fan of dropping 4+ hours material on me on Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's. To me, Stranger Things
to this for a reason.
To me, Stranger Things has always felt like a summer thing or an October thing, and I don't think that did it any favors either. But I'm being completely honest, because I didn't watch this until the last couple days, because I just heard the few things I had heard from it was pretty much a lot of apathy and negativity, and maybe that influenced my review to be positive. But I was surprised at how well this thing came together, how epic the last 2 hours felt, and how much they didn't really get me with the middle-aged kids or the adults, but the kids, the core of the group, them saying goodbye and hanging up their player sheets and know what I know about growing up and how hard it is to stay in touch. It really connected with me.
Yeah, same here. I will say my biggest surprise is how much I gave a shit by the end of this, because I go into every season of Stranger Things, because there's such a lull between them, going, okay, it's another season of Stranger Things. I know I like the previous seasons, but I lose that feeling of liking it. And it takes me a few episodes to get back into it fully, but they've always managed to do it. They've always managed to just, by the end, give me that old feeling that I had at the beginning of season 1 when I saw these kids in these tiny little babies in their basement, and remembered, back to the time when I was doing that stuff.
And that's fun too, because like I guess maybe them growing up didn't bother me because I had the organic experience of a 9-year-old turn into a 19 going on 20-year-old, and damn, even 3-4 years ago he still looked like a kid, and now he looks like a man. So like that change maybe didn't feel so bad. But I go back and wonder, like, if The Leftovers took 7 to 8 years to come out, would we have loved it as much? If Breaking Bad took 12 years to come out,
right?
Like, would people, especially if you took like 3.5 years between the Gus season and the final one, like, my God, would that have caught momentum? And I feel, and I felt this thing with Pluribus too, when Vince is talking like, oh, maybe the end of 2027 or something. I'm like, no, like, what? Why can't we make 8 hours of television in a year anymore? I know part of his budget and all that, but like, goddamn.
Yeah. And for
Vince
Gilligan, I've heard him say he doesn't have as much energy as he used to, which fair. He's getting.
That's fair, yeah. Like, I can understand. So I wouldn't want to work that as hard as it takes to put out a tub, but like,
yeah, if I were successful.
Yeah, it might be that's what it takes. Like you just can't build momentum. People's attention spans are. And I've always resisted thinking that. It's like, well, come on. Some of my favorite books came out years apart, and it took like a decade to finish a series. But I feel like there's something different with books, because I definitely feel these shows that take long times coming back, that even ones I'm super excited, it's like, oh man, I gotta get back into it.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Anything else?
Yeah, I will also say I really love the montage at the end of this where they've created all these moments from Stranger Things as sort of entries in a D&D manual kind of thing.
That I love when they go, you go through a big trilogy or the Lord of the and they do the super deluxe credit sequence. You know that was sweet too.
Yeah, this is just a nice cap to it. Just put a little extra on it saying we know you love this, we love it as much as you. That's it. And then to your point about like, does this have staying power? They're certainly going to make it try of it because they've got a couple of things that they're talking about doing. I know that there's an animated spin-off with these characters that's supposed to come out here this year, I want to say.
I think that's an appropriate way to go. I don't know what success you'll have.
It won't be as successful as the live action for sure, but it's a good idea, and I'll be watching it, I'm sure. I'll at least give it a try. And I guess they're talking about maybe doing a live action spinoff of this show at some point, but that's just like
Hopper and Joyce and Montauk.
Like, we've got an idea, maybe that we've been talking about for years that maybe we'll do something with, but nothing confirmed.
I want to see what the Duffer Brothers can do. Maybe this is all they like, maybe this is, but like, I would like to see them maybe get away from some of the genre stuff because like their characters are so good. They're so relatable.
Yeah.
I like to see them just tell a story that doesn't have anything to do with monsters and things that go bump in the night. And they're talented. Like they wrote a lot of these episodes, directed which is essentially a feature film. I think they have enormous talent.
Yeah. Alongside their producer turned like, I guess director and everything. Cause he was in a lot of this. Sean Levy. I don't know how you pronounce his name.
I think it's Levy.
He's been with them since the beginning, sort of championing. Actually, I think he was the one who sort of got them the opportunity here to make this in the first place, and he's been an excellent steward of the show.
And I know they got some stuff coming out, like they did Wayward Pines, which I've heard a lot of people like, and it's kind of in this genre. And then next year they've got the Burrows. Something very bad is going to happen, but they're not writing or directing; they're just executive producing that. I want to see them. Yeah, I want to see them come out and do what's their next step after this. It's just such a big thing. That's 8-10 years of their life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big deal.
You've gone from 30 something. You've gone from early 30s to the early 40s now. I want to see what their next project's going to look like because they definitely tapped into something, and I don't feel like they tapped out of it. I felt like if schedule had been what had been, like season 4 would have really brought a lot of people back on, and a lot of people still watch this show. I mean, obviously, and it was pretty well regarded by the critics, but.
The premiere did exceptionally well in the box office. I think it beat out Avatar for whatever week they were competing.
Holy shit! Wow. Saw Avatar. Saw a bunch of movies over break too. That's going to be topic for OTR. OTR.
Yeah.
Over the Rhine. Yeah, I was going to go to a bar and OTR tonight and just pester someone.
Vent your spleen about.
Yeah. I tell you about these fucking blue people, okay?
There's a documentary that I want to watch too that they did of a behind the scenes sort of wrap up thing that's on Netflix. I want to check that out. It's like an hour and a half.
That'd probably be pretty fun to watch. But
if you have
and nothing else. Like for selfish, I just know this came out 4 years ago. I'd have had my son sitting on the couch next to me, and we'd have been oohing and on and tearing up together. And I definitely missed that experience this time around. Anything else we want to talk about Stranger Things, Jim?
I don't think so. I'm sad that it's over, but also glad that it ended so well.
Me too. Like I was really, really concerned about all the things and the fact that it worked as well as it did, and we got closure on it. I would hate if this thing not gotten a season 5. That'd have been the worst. So that's it for Stranger Things. Boy, this is another like end of an era, man. This might be the longest running show that we had still open on our books. You know, now that
if we were
the
still
Walking
covering
Dead's
Walking
over.
Dead spin-offs, maybe. But
Yeah, still chained to that ship, but
no.
it's the end of an era. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. We've got lots of stuff. I have watched the entirety of season 1 of The Pit, and I'm very excited about season 2. Me and Jim are going to be firing up the old Prestige feed to consider Noah Wiley being ER, attending charge, head of the ER. It's a great show.
Attending.
I did not know what to expect, and I was really really into it. Fallout, we're still doing Fallout. We've got, and then A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. This is a couple weeks away. Big stuff happening here at Bald Move. Don't forget Groundhog Day. We're less than a month out. Our annual 24-hour film marathon / charity drive. We're going to be raising money for the Cure Owls folks. We're going to be watching pretty much every Batman movie that you can think of. With some crazy interstitial surprises. It's one of the funnest things we do all year, and it's going to be happening. I believe it's January 31st and the 1st. Is that Saturday, Sunday? But go to groundhog.baldmove.com, bookmark it, lay it in. It's a great great time and a great charity. And then finally, you can support us, support.baldmove.com. I imagine we'll be having some instant takes and whatnot with some of the prestige and even pulpy stuff coming out of HBO, but there's tons of great features, ad-free feeds, like I said, the OTR/OTC, Gemini's outlet for talking about everything we don't talk about on the main podcast, lunches, just got done at the Christmas celebrations with everybody. It's super fun. We'd love to have you in the club, support.baldmove.com. All right. Thank you for going on this journey with us and a bunch of 11-year-olds. We were very mentally matched for each other. We'll see you on The Pit or Fallout or A Night of the Seven Kingdoms or our first round movie feed. Who knows? Check it out. All of our stuff. Pulp and Prestige. Bald Move, Pulp and Prestige. Wherever you listen to podcasts. All right. That's an outro. Let's I'm gonna cast Sunbeam, and my sister's gonna cast Invisibility, and we're gonna fade out into the darkness. Goodbye, everybody.